share my morning with you because I started canning or bottling the apples. And I already have one batch in the canner, and I'll show you those. They're boiling away. It's only for 26 minutes here in our high altitude. At sea level up to 1,000 feet, it's only 20 minutes for quart jars in a boiling water bath. So that's pretty good. But like I said, for this high altitude, it is 26 minutes, which still isn't bad. It goes pretty quick. The long part is preparing the apples for the jars. It's a little bit different from the peaches and the pears, and I will show you how it's different also. Here's the batch that I already have, 7 quart jars in a boiling water bath. I started the element on high, and then when it started boiling I turned it down to 8, and now I've turned it down to 6.5, just to keep that rolling boil. These are the apples that I have left. As I showed you the other day, some of them are really big. So here's one. You can tell from my hand how big some of these apples are. Pretty big. So what you have to do, according to the instructions, is peel them. I've got a peeler and a paring knife there and my cutting board. So you peel them and then you quarter them and you take out the core. And then slice them up how you want them. Pretty much doesn't matter. And then you put them in a solution of water with salt and vinegar in it. It's 2 tablespoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of vinegar per gallon of cold water. You put the apples in that and it will keep them looking fairly fresh while you're working on all the rest of your apples. Then cook them for 5 minutes. So here's the pan that I cooked the first batch in. It still has some sugar water in it. It recommends using either a light syrup or water to bottle them in. I used a light syrup, so this has, for every 4 cups of water, I put 1 cup of sugar. And this is the rest of the syrup that I didn't use in that first batch. So I'll just add a little bit to this, probably 1 more quart of water and 1 to 2 quarts of water and 1 to 2 cups of sugar. That's what I'll probably add to this. If there's some left over at the end, I'll just add it to my fruit juice that I have in my fridge every day, and just vary it, just whatever it is, various kinds of fruit juice. And I'll drink it up, whatever's left. This is an additional jar that I had after I filled my 7 jars. And all I did was just turn this lid upside down and set it on top just to kind of keep the heat in. And I turned it upside down because I didn't want it to somehow seal because of the heat of this mixture of apples and syrup that's in this jar. It's pretty hot to touch even. So I didn't want that to accidentally seal because it wouldn't have been a proper seal. It wouldn't have been correct. It needs to be processed and then sealed. So that's just a regular lid. I wanted to keep it covered, but I didn't want it to seal, so I turned it upside down. I've got my lids here ready for the next batch. I still need to heat those up a little bit. Got my funnel ready. A big spoon. This is what I use to scoop out the apples and the juice, put them in my jars. All right, now I'm going to actually demonstrate how I peel and quarter and core and cut up a few apples. here's the first apple that we'll do. What I've been doing is starting at the bottom. I don't know why. Now this one has a few little bruises on it. Sometimes you can peel those off with your peeler. Other times you might have to get your knife and cut them off, which is what I might have to do here. And I go around a couple of times. It's depending on how big your apple is. Since these are so big, that's what I do. I'm going to use the knife to get those bruises off. I try not to take off too much of the apple with it. Okay, then I go down towards the stem end. And just peel the peelings off the apple. I do have a little machine, man-powered machine. It's called an apple peeler core slicer. But you know what? I think these apples are too big for that machine. I don't think that they would be able to do it. Okay, the next thing I do is cut it in half. And then in fourths. And then I take off the end, one of the ends, and cut down towards the middle of the apple, try to get under the core. Sometimes I actually scoop it like I'm doing here, and then make sure you have both ends trimmed, because you still have apple skin on those ends. Sometimes also I will just go halfway through to around the back of the core, and then from the other side go the other half. If you've ever prepared an apple just to munch on, to cut up in sections, you already know how to do all this. So I cut them up in chunks. I like this size of chunks in my jars. And toss them in the salt vinegar solution. Okay, take the stem out of this half. I usually don't take the stems out first because sometimes they're hard to get out. You can twist them clear through the alphabet and still they won't come out, so it just depends on your apples. So I usually cut them up first, and then the stem is really simple to pull out. There's that one. This piece is a little larger than that other quarter I just did. Okay. And that's how you do that. I ended up with 13 quarts of apples. That will last a while. I like to put apple chunks in with my oatmeal and some cinnamon. I don't need to add any sugar to my oatmeal when I do that because these apples are slightly sweetened. even if I didn't add any sugar to the syrup that I made, if I just used plain water in bottling them, they would still be a sweet addition to oatmeal because of their natural sweetness. They each have a 1/2 inch of headspace, and I didn't show that because I didn't show the actual filling up of the jars. So you can refer to my peaches video and my pears video if you want to look at those. It shows filling up jars. But since this was a different procedure with the hot pack apples, cooking the fruit first before you put the fruit in the jars, then I wanted to do this one separately from the others. What I need to do now is let them cool for 24 to 48 hours. I need to take the rings off, check the seals, make sure that they're all sealed nicely. Wash the bottles in cool water or cold water, just to make sure that there's no sticky syrup around the threads of the top of the jar. And then label them and take them downstairs to a cool, dry, dark place. And they should store really well. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I bottled some apples. I now have some carrots that I need to freeze. I have onions that I need to freeze. And so we will be having more preserving videos in the future. And whatever it is that I need to do from day to day that helps me in my life, then there's a possibility that I will share all of that with you. I just want you to know that when you're busy, then you have peace in your life. When you're busy doing things and doing good and helping yourself, not relying on other people or other places to do things for you. We should all be busily doing things for ourselves. Try to be as self-reliant as we can. And I get a lot of joy out of striving to be self-reliant. And so I hope that you will too, as you try different things in your life to help yourself. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video or learned anything that you didn't know before, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends, make comments. It would be great. And have a great rest of your day.